Yeah. Hey, oh, I have that jacket with me here too that I had in the video, but I don't know where I put it. Oh well. I was going to use it all over again.
Bill Apter, what's going on? This is Unscripted, ladies and gentlemen. We are here. We are here. We are here. What's going on? What's going on? How are you?
Everything's really good. Everything's really good. Been running around. There's some controversial stuff I want to talk to you about.
All right.
And there's some non-controversial stuff, like how much I'm enjoying the new WWE commentator, Joe. Is it Tessitore?
Tessitore.
You know, there are times that he's reminding me, if you close your eyes, he sounds like Mean Gene Okerlund. And I miss that schmaltz that Mean Gene Okerlund brought to the game. And this guy's got it. I know he's been a sportscaster for many, many years, but he's never done pro wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know how many people they auditioned for that position, but he's terrific. He's got that whole Mean Gene thing, that sell, that voice. And the second week that he was on Raw, he was a lot more comfortable than week one. So I think good choice. And he and Wade Barrett, I think, can make a very good team together.
All right. Nice.
What do you think of his presentation?
Away from wrestling, I like him. I like him as a boxing commentator. I like him as a college football commentator. Play-by-play, wrestling play-by-play just doesn't hit it for me, man. Not yet.
Oh, okay.
It's only 2 weeks in, but
I have no
so far, man, there's just nothing about his presence that jumps through the screen. And to me, Wade, as a commentator, Wade's good. Wade's polished. As a color commentator, I don't think he's colorful enough. When I think of color commentator, I think of like colorful characters. I think of Jesse Ventura. I think of Bobby Heenan. And I think of Jared King Lawler. I think of Lord Alfred Hayes. You know what I mean? I think of like colorful characters. And when you think of like comparing Joe Tessitore and Wade Barrett duo compared to those legendary duos, I just don't. I mean, they should. I mean, we shouldn't lower the bar, and I think the bar should be. I think the bar should be at the same level or even raised. We shouldn't lower the bar. I think it's okay. So that's
I don't think it's lowered. I think Joe fits right in with that whole thing. I really do. Wade Barrett, I can see.
I don't think so.
I agree with you, but I think Joe does. Well, we're entitled not to agree.
I know that's the reason why you asked me how I think. It's funny you ask me how I think, and I give you, and I show you, and I tell you what I think, and then you disagree twice of what I think.
It's
You're like,
okay.
you give me your take, and then you're like, "What do you think?" And I give you, no.
9 out of 10 times you disagree with what I feel.
That's okay, man. I disagree.
People have said that.
You have every single right to believe what you want. That's fine.
What is that on top of your head, by the way?
It's my hair.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Wow, when I've seen you in person, I've never seen that before.
Yeah, I just decided to just throw my hair up in a bun today, man.
Now, why Bad News Allen on your shirt?
Because I'm afraid I got some bad news. I mean, I just like I like old school wrestling, as you know, and I like old school characters. And Bad News Brown is someone who I couldn't stand back in the day, but he's a legendary character coming from Stampede Wrestling, and he was a legend. And so he was a great heel.
Did he say? I remember him, but did he say what Bad News Barrett says? I'm afraid I've got some bad news. Is that where he got it from?
No, he didn't. He didn't say I'm afraid I got some bad news. But the fact that his name is Bad News Brown, you know what I mean? Bad News Barrett, I thought that was pretty cool. Okay. I liked Barrett. I like Bad News Barrett. He's pretty cool. And he used to be on that lift. I thought that was great. I thought that was great. He would be on a lift. And he would cut a promo. So I'm afraid I got some bad news.
Yeah, so I love that. Actually, Drew McIntyre used that on Monday Night Raw last night.
He did. It's a tie into could we see Bad News Barrett come back and have a little mini match against Drew McIntyre to hold over Drew into a bigger feud?
Let me give you my Drew here. I don't know if you're listening to me, Dr. Chris, but I'm not through yet with CM Punk. How's that? Not bad?
You got some practice, but it's better than many other ones. It's okay.
Okay, but getting to your question there, yeah, I think that Wade Barrett is going to, before Bad Blood, which is on October 5th, I believe, the next PLE, I think before somewhere in the next week or two, it's got to happen fast, that he and McIntyre, he's going to stop McIntyre again from doing something to Punk, and it's going to wind up with him getting slugged or something, and it's going to create, I don't know if there'll be a match between the two of them, because maybe on TV the following Monday before Bad Blood, maybe the two of them against each other, and then CM Punk comes to Wade Barrett's rescue.
Okay. Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how that would go, to see him come back and maybe a one-off or something like that. Or
he called him Stu, by the way. Did you notice that? He called him by his real name. McIntyre called him Stu.
Oh, did he? I didn't notice that. That was pretty interesting. Yeah. C-Rise in the building. Dr. Featherstone, how are you feeling today? Thank you for asking, man. I appreciate that very, very much. I'm feeling better than I did a couple of days ago. It's heading the right direction. So 2 nights ago, I was pretty rough. I was working. I was doing my college professor job, and it was really, really rough. And so I'm better than I was 2 days ago.
Well,
so,
I'm glad you're feeling better.
Thank you.
Maybe what you need is this picture that I can't get out of my head.
What's that?
Maybe you need, like Swerve Strickland, a hypodermic needle in your mouth.
Oh boy!
Whoa! Did you see did you watch the pay-per-view?
The highlights of it. I did see that spot.
I'm going to say what I've said in my newsletter and other places. there were two things. Most of the show was good. However, the one spot with John Moxley turning against, I don't say turned on, turning against AEW World Champion Bryan Danielson and putting a plastic bag over his head. I've seen that in the Indies. Bothered me in the Indies. But I never saw it on a show on a worldwide pay-per-view. That bugged me. But what really got me, where I said, this is it. I don't know if I want to watch this more tonight. What really got me, of course, in the Adam Page Swerve Strickland cage match that looked like a shoot during half of it, just when they were throwing themselves into the wire. And I mean, they held nothing back. And Hangman Page, his back, after being slammed into the concrete slab there, his back looked like somebody took a knife and cut him. But then when he took the staple gun and showed Page a picture of his own family and stapled it to his cheek, I started going like, okay, I'm used to, and that was the end of it. I'm used to CZW.
Yeah.
I'm used to ECW. I'm used to Japan. I'm used to Mexico. Mm-hmm. But I'm not used to seeing anybody anywhere putting a hypodermic needle into someone's mouth in a professional wrestling setting. Grossed me out.
Well, Bill, that's somewhere we can agree on. Yeah.
Mark that down, everybody. Wow.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. It felt indie, man. You know what I mean? Like it just felt too indie. You know, those are the type of things that just down the block backyard indie shows do. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those things that it's like you already have an audience. You know, a lot of times those just random, small town indie shows, they go to that extreme because they're trying to elicit the fan base. They're trying to make things go viral. That's the reason why they do it. They're trying to have those viral moments that you have at the local and bingo hall or just random warehouse. You know what I mean? And so those are the reason why they do.
Wait, let's not leave a VFW out of that too.
You can't forget about the VFW as well. So it's like, okay, so those are that's the type of stuff that just bodunked town indie shows do. Mm-hmm. It just really lowers the quality of the product. If you're going to do something that desperate, there's nothing about that match or those moments to me, especially the syringe. I think the plastic bag was just as stupid. I mean, you're attempting murder.
You hear the fans yelling out, "This is murder."
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. It is, for some odd reason, you're trying to have a last ditch pitch to Warner Brothers to renew a contract. Ooh. And what you do is you attempt to murder someone and say, "Hey, executives, how about a renewal? Here you go." You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. It feels indie. It feels bush league. It feels low quality. All of those things.
What does Warner Brothers have to do with this? It's a pay-per-view, so it's not. Isn't that more?
No. AEW has everything to do with it. So when you're talking about contract renewals for Warner Brothers, AEW as a product is still presenting that for renewal for Warner Brothers. So why would Warner
pay-per-view platform?
What I'm answering is, why would Warner Brothers want to renew an AEW Dynamite contract if that's the presentation that they're being delivered as a whole, as a brand?
I asked Bully Ray a few weeks ago if the AEW fans, and there's no knock to them, everybody has their own, people like slasher movies and stuff like that. But if the AEW audience is what the modern day ECW crowd is, and he said, yeah, he never thought about that, but they elevated the violence on this show. And I know Tony Khan loves indie wrestling. He used to go to ECW.
Yeah.
He'd go to a lot of different indie cards in Philadelphia, etc. And he has that taste for it, and so do the fans. But I think for the general population, you brought up something very interesting. If Warner Brothers Discovery sees that, and it's mainly getting negative attention on the internet,
yes,
is that shock value possibly going to deter them wanting to do more business with AEW, or, hey, you guys can't do that anymore?
It definitely could, because if you think about from a standards and practices standpoint, it's like, oh, because I doubt that a lot of execs from Warner Brothers, avidly watch the product. They're just looking at abilities to create ad revenue. If you're having, 600,000, I mean, the numbers aren't exciting, but if you have 600,000 people are glued, or 700,000 people are glued to a show within the 2-hour standpoint, that's a lot of opportunities to elicit, ad revenue. That's a pretty strong pitch to have advertisers say, okay, yeah, we'll go ahead and buy a slot here because we have 700,000 people that's watching at one point of time. So they could do that. However, though, you also have to think about from a bigger trajectory. Is this hurting the brand of Warner Brothers as a whole by endorsing products like this, of what we saw, especially like what you said, if the feedback and the backlash is a lot more negative than it is positive, there's nothing advantageous from a network perspective that would cause someone to bite on that brand itself. So I don't think it helped anything. And just from a shock TV standpoint, from an ECW, from an ECW standpoint, if you think about it, ECW was hot for about 7 years. So even in that 7-year period, a lot of they still didn't revolutionize television interest as far as selling out pay-per-views and growing. They still had to be, monetarily funded, in part by WWE at times. When they had the talent exchange, when Sabu was jumping off of the ladder and things like that, and Jerry Lawler's going in there, RVD's coming into Raw and becoming Mr. Monday Night. Stuff like that with the talent exchange. They still had the, depend on the WWE to help them grow their audience. ECW was niche, and it would always going to be niche. CZW's niche, GCW's niche. You're not going to get a television network that's going to ever endorse and put a lot of money toward a GCW or CZW. And if AEW is going that route, AEW shouldn't expect the same.
Yeah, I wonder about the parent with the pay-per-view on, watching it with the 8-year-old son who says, "Oh, Daddy, we have those bags in the
right
in the kitchen."
Exactly, exactly. Fantastic.
And it took away from the rest of the pay-per-view. They had some decent matches on that pay-per-view, but that's not what the people are remembering.
Correct.
They're only remembering that. And like I said, I cannot get that picture of Swerve Strickland with the hypodermic needle in his mouth. Ugh.
Yeah. And if you want, real quick, if you want a guaranteed opportunity to ask your question on the screen, yes, to ask your question, and it'd be on the screen. Go ahead and throw that super chat out there. A couple things. Someone's asking me, what do I teach? I'm a department chair of the college that I'm at. I chair the Department of Counseling and Psychology. So that's what I teach. Also,
What are all these things with Bill Apter is so old? What are you
how
doing
old
here?
is he? Let's
What is this all about?
I don't know. We got a question. Dr. Chris and Bill Apter, what are your thoughts on Netflix Vince doc? Yeah, man. What do you think? Let's talk about the Vince doc. I saw the trailer. The trailer did include Vince. As I thought, it's interesting because it wasn't necessarily like, because a lot of people were thinking like, what could it be? Could it be like one of those? Not necessarily a tell-all, but just kind of like a hit piece type of deal, like what they did with the Ultimate Warrior, the WWE did with the Ultimate Warrior. But no, it doesn't seem like. It seems like a kind of a doc, but still kind of like a rise and fall, as they described.
Absolutely. And I saw the coming attractions as well.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see it. I'm going to be away on assignment, as I mentioned, when they run it. So I'm not going to see it for about a week and a half after it airs. But yeah, I'm, if he was just a regular promoter, just another regular guy, there'd be no interest in him. But they've got to put dirt in it because fans love dirt.
They do.
Fans love dirt. So I have a feeling before it even premieres that there might be some more news that they'll just put out there, negative news about Vince McMahon. Where is he? Again, here he is.
Unquestionable.
Yes, unquestionably, Doctor. All right. But yeah, people want to hear negative. And I'm not defending anything what he did at all. Alleged, whatever is alleged. But he did change the business, which was not very good the way he did it by putting all the territories out of business way back when. And I didn't know. Yeah. I didn't know that his dad, who was very revered in the wrestling world, also had issues with other territories and stuff like that. But I think that he gave the wrestling world a new product that nobody ever thought of. Yeah. He gave a lot of people a lot of chances to make a lot of money, but it's the way he did all this stuff that's going to compel people to watch it. I don't know if they have any interviews with any of the old territory people, like a David Crockett would have been great on there to say how they had to battle Vince McMahon to keep their territory, or even Bruce Pritchard, who worked for McMahon back then, worked for Paul Bosch, and McMahon was going into that territory. Yeah. I think I saw him on the preview, but yeah, it's going to be dirt and compelling. I don't think it's the end of the of this doc is going to leave McMahon in a positive attitude at all. And I wonder if they asked Stephanie or Shane to if they wanted to be in this, because I don't think neither of them are.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think that it will leave them in a positive light by the end of the doc. But I will say I do think that it probably will leave people still respecting what he did for the business, though, and how he revolutionized the business. And to your point, I mean, he really caused it. I would say one of the biggest achievements of Vince McMahon is that he took it from the, local VFW warehouse, type of
spot show.
Yeah.
Spot show arena.
Yeah. As it, like, he took it from that to more of the glitz, the glamour, the spectacle. It was like it was like pro wrestling meets Ringley Brothers. You know what I
Or
mean?
rock concerts. Same thing.
Correct. You
Yeah,
know,
with all
I
the
was, yep,
fireworks and
yep. And I was just about to say the whole rock and wrestling era when he brought in Cyndi Lauper and things like that. I think that really if I would say that there was one moment, one era, one space in time of pro wrestling that really revolutionized the industry, it would be the rock and wrestling era.
absolutely.
It would be the Cyndi Lauper, the Captain Lou Albano, Cyndi Lauper, type of partnership that benefiting Lauper with Albano being in the movies, and then that benefiting the WWE with Lauper coming.
And it all led to Hulkamania, which was the next level of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So bringing in Hulk Hogan was definitely it was the extra layer that was needed to really put it in full gear, so to speak. And I think that really, really helped. And you got to credit, Vince McMahon's a good promoter, man. He's when you think of boxing, man, you think of Don King. When you think of pro wrestling, you think of Vince McMahon.
I'm smiling because I knew we also did boxing magazines, and I photographed and interviewed Don King in the very first fight that he promoted with Jeff Merritt.
Okay.
And he was so great when I interviewed him. Everything was magnanimous, young man, magnanimous. He was a showman type of promoter, and Vince became that same type of character. So what I want to say is that we can thank Vince McMahon for bringing this about to what it has morphed into.
Yep.
We can't thank him for raiding the territories, because that's something that I still feel very strongly about. And I'll never forget that Eddie Graham had come to Madison Square Garden, and this was at the beginning of things, kind of where Vince was invading the territories. And he and I were chatting, and I said, "You heard what's going on with Vince?" And all, yeah. He said, "But they're not going to do that to me." He said, "I'm very close with Vince, and this isn't going to happen to me." And then kaboom!
Kaboom!
They were in Florida. So he was a man. He was a man that is strictly. It's not his obituary. The man who's strictly business, but he had no conscience.
Cutthroat, man. That's the way to be successful in many when it comes to business in many ways. But if you think about it this way, though, Bill, did his raiding the territories hurt, really, though? Like, ultimately? Because if you think about it from this way, if you think about it, say for instance, you had Vince come in, raid the territories. You have someone like a Heenan go to WWE. He got paid more money. Mm-hmm. You had Hogan, come to the WWE from AWA. He got more money. You had and you talked about Florida with the Grahams. Dusty Rhodes was big, in the Florida territories.
Harley Race.
He got to the Harley Race. Yeah. He got to his competitor. You know what I mean? Because you had Crockett coming in and saying, okay, well, we need a market for the South, for the Atlanta area. Mm-hmm. So I've got the money, I've got the financial backing to be a competitor with Vince. And so the people that were in the territories, like the Blanchards, for instance, they ended up being with the Crockett, as far as the Blanchards are concerned. And so you had a lot of people from the territories end up eventually going to that's true, but at the same time, the people who were going to stand out in the first place, though, you know what I mean? Because like the Dustys, the Blanchards, the Hogans, the Races, you said, those people were either going to keep going to these towns and making pennies on the dollar based on the gate, or you're going to have bigger deals with these big money, moguls spearheading these.
But the local promoters were not brought in with them. You take a Bob Geigel, somebody in Kansas City there, who was after that area was raided. And
well, Geigel's a consultant to Vince, though.
Well, he was for a while, I believe so. I believe so. No, I don't think he lasted there very long.
He wasn't there long, but he still had, he still had an opportunity to make more money than he would. Well,
yeah, but his territory when it was doing well, it did really well. He was a mom and pop shop, so Vince kind of took all the mom and pop shops and took what he needed out of those mom and pop shops. And remember, TV was changing at that point also. TV became larger than just the territories. People were seeing WWF TV on all their cable systems, and the little pockets of like Kansas City looked like a small-time promotion. So
correct, yeah. Think about Vince McMahon being a Pizza Hut, right? So you got a lot of these mom and pop shops. So what Vince did was he went and he just took away the mom and pop shops locally, and he planted Pizza Huts there. And he went around and said, well, I'm going to get the best workers of all of these local spot shops. I'm going to bring them together and make really good Pizza Hut locations. So it's like, can you the people who are making, the people who are at the mom and pop shops, they're like, man, we've got this family feel, but I'm making a lot more money at the Pizza Hut though. You know what I mean? So and I was chosen because I'm one of the best employees of these spot shops.
Yeah, but the
ultimately you have to think about from a standpoint of, did it really hurt the business more than help it? Because if we had those territories, I know that from a old school traditional standpoint, the territories made sense. But ultimately though, if you had a lot of those spot mom and pop pizza shops, the employees are going to be disgruntled because they want to make more money, but the mom and pop shops couldn't afford it. Now you got the big Pizza Hut coming in and oh man, it sucks that a mom and pop shopper is ending, but I get more money, so no harm.
I'm moaning over the owners of most of the mom and pop shops. They went out of business. They went out of business. They were their top wrestlers were taken. They couldn't survive.
But Vince had those owners, some of those owners, be a part of his Pizza Hut franchises.
Once in some of them, not a lot of them.
Not all. I mean, or there was a competitor, right? So what happens was Vince said Pizza Hut, and then Crockett said, okay, well, Domino's then, and we'll bring in the Grahams because that's what Crockett ended up doing. I mean, Mike Graham ended up being, a big figure. I mean, as far as backstage when it was in WCW for a while. So he did bring in some of the promoters, and it helped, them, and they got more money. You know what I mean? So
remember now, I was around in those days, and I was at these shows when the small-time territory promoters were worried about what was going to happen to their business. So that's where my feeling was, not which wrestlers were going to make more money and all that. I felt for the little guys. So
yes, but if I was a wrestler at that little guy promotion and I got a big guy wanting me for more money, I'm gone. I'm without a. I mean, again, look at Bobby Heenan. He wasn't getting as much money as he wanted to in AWA. Okay, see ya. I'm gonna go to WWE.
Oh, sure.
There was a lot. There was a mass exodus. Hennig. He was another one. There was a Hall was another one. There was a mass exodus that came from AWA.
It was a raid. They said it was a raid. They raided the AWA.
Absolutely.
We have
Yeah. Yep. I got it right here. Ready to rock. All right. Super chat before we go. We got Gabe and Ben Vedini. Thank you for your $10 super chat. Vince McMahon did what the current promos can't do. They got non-wrestling fans watching. Was very entertaining. I tuned out when they started marketing it for boys aged 6 to 10, more of a kids show.
But that's true. The when they brought in the entertainment, WrestleMania 1, especially, and they brought in people from other genres, and those people promoted WWF back then, and it changed the business completely. It changed the business completely.
I'd say for the better, man. I would say that, but all right, my man.
That's it.
Let them know where to find you. Yeah, just
right.
Breeze through that.
Yo, you mentioned Scott Hall. Yo, right down there. Yeah.
It's survey time.
Who's your best wrestling imitation, by the way?
Oh man.
Come on.
I know that you're so big on wrestling imitations.
You know I am.
Yeah. I've got it. I mean, probably Death It for me, baby. Yeah, it's probably
Dusty. Let me do this is Gordon Soley. Dusty, tonight you're going against your ex-tag team partner, Dick Murdoch, the former outlaw. Let the people know what's going to happen.
Pay window, baby. Let them know, ladies and gentlemen. Bill Apter. Let them know where to find you, my brother.
Anyway, you can follow me at After One Wrestling. And of course, watch The Time Machine right here on Sportskeeda Wrestle Binge. And subscribe to my newsletter. Just go to Google and put in Sportskeeda Wrestling Newsletter and subscribe to it. And I don't know if you people have seen this, but on our platform here, there's a lot of new shows coming up. Afa Anoa'i Jr., one of the sons of the Wild Samoan Afa, who we lost, and Joe Lowry will be doing a weekly show about the bloodline. I also understand there's some other big names coming our way, and a new show debuted this week with Vince Russo and Coach Jonathan Coachman that you can find right here on WrestleBinge.
Yeah, man, we're loaded over here, Vince.
Man,
Vince and Vince and Coach, and then we got. Yes, we also got some things that I know about that we should be announcing soon. But we got the other show that you just mentioned, man. So we are loaded. Bill. We got some
correct. Your last comment there is very funny.
That was funny. Yeah, I saw that too. That was pretty funny.
But I'm not that old that I've got a bad back from getting out of covered wagons. You didn't say that one yet.
Bill Apter.
Wait. Iron Meds VR wants another imitation.
We gotta go.
Way out?
What
should I do on the way out? Snooker. You know something, brother? It's beautiful, and we'll see you next week right here.
Long.